The unease hit me the second I stepped into that hotel ballroom. It wasn't the buzzing crowd, the generic background music, or the fake laughter of corporate small talk. It was her, Claire, my wife of 8 years, the woman I thought I could trust with every fragile part of me. She stood just a few steps away, her lips pressed against another man's. This wasn't some clumsy, blink-and-you-miss-it brush in a dim corner. It was deliberate, charged. Her palm rested on his chest as though it had always belonged there. And in that instant, something inside me fractured, not loudly, but like glass slowly splintering under weight. I didn't explode. I didn't shout. I didn't give the room the dramatic scene you'd see in a film. Instead, I walked forward with steady steps, each breath tighter than the last, until I was close enough for my words to land without raising my voice. "You just ended our marriage," I said, my tone sharp as steel. Claire froze. Her mouth parted, and the color drained from her face, as though my words had ripped the warmth out of her. The man, someone I faintly recognized from photos she'd once shown me, a polished executive type, stumbled back, panic flashing across his features. He didn't defend himself, didn't even speak. He slipped into the crowd, disappearing like a coward. But Claire, she turned toward me, eyes wide, and whispered words that cut deeper than the kiss itself. "You're wrong." The drive home was suffocatingly quiet, broken only by the low hum of the engine. My hands strangled the steering wheel, as though letting go would send me spiraling. Claire sat beside me, staring out the window, more stranger than wife. Finally, I asked, "Who is he?" She twisted the strap of her clutch, stalling. "It's not what you think, Daniel." I almost laughed at the tired line. Not what I think. I saw her mouth on his. I saw the way she looked at him, the way she used to look at me. "Then explain it." I pressed, my tone calm, but my chest burning. Because from where I stood, my wife was kissing another man at her company's gala. "Tell me how that's not betrayal." She let out a shaky sigh, the kind that sounded rehearsed. "It was a mistake." He leaned in, I didn't. "Claire." I cut her off. "I saw your hand on his chest." Her silence screamed louder than a confession. The days after blurred together in a haze of excuses and half-truths. She insisted it was a one-time slip, a lapse in judgment. But she refused to cut ties with him. His name was Ryan, her team leader, the man she'd been traveling with for months on client visits. Looking back, the hints had been there all along. The late-night emails. The extra time spent perfecting her makeup before work dinners. The sudden bursts of laughter at messages she'd never share. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe it was just one drunken kiss. But my gut whispered otherwise. That wasn't the start. It was just the moment I finally saw what had been there all along. One night, I sat alone in the living room. Her phone lay on the coffee table, charging while she showered. My hand hovered over it. Conscience wrestled with desperation. "Don't look. Respect her privacy. She's already broken your trust. If there's nothing to hide, you'll find nothing." I opened it. The truth was there. Hundreds of messages disguised in an innocent work chat, but the tone was unmistakable. "Miss you already. Last night was amazing. Can't wait for the next trip." Photos. Selfies. Inside jokes I'd never been part of. My stomach twisted. By the time she came out in her robe, I was sitting stiffly on the couch, her phone unlocked in my hand. "Daniel," she whispered, her face ghost white. "You went through my phone." I searched through the life I thought I understood. I murmured. And in the end, I uncovered the truth. That night, neither of us spoke. We didn't even share the same bed. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, playing back 8 years of marriage in my mind, our vows, the home we built, the future we had mapped out. Had it all been a lie? Or had she simply become someone else? By morning, I packed a bag and walked out. Not from rage, but because I needed space before my pain curdled into something darker. All day, my phone buzzed with her messages. Apologies. Explanations. Please. I love you, Daniel. It didn't mean anything. You're my husband. He's nobody. But betrayal doesn't need the other person to matter. It's the act itself that poisons everything. A week later, she appeared at the small apartment I had rented. No flawless makeup, no polished office persona, just Claire, red-eyed and stripped bare. "Please, can we talk?" she asked. I let her in. We sat at the kitchen table, an invisible canyon stretching between us. "Why him?" I asked. Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know. We traveled so much together." He listened. "He made me feel seen." My jaw tightened. "So, I didn't." "That's not what I mean," she said quickly. "You're a good husband, Daniel. I got lost." I stared at her, searching for the woman I once fell for. Lost is forgetting a date. Lost isn't hiding an affair from your husband. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way," she whispered. And in that moment, I understood. She wasn't crying because she had lost me. She was crying because she had been caught. The divorce didn't happen instantly. I didn't march to a lawyer the next morning. A part of me, maybe the naive part, still wondered if she would fight for us. But her idea of fighting was shallow. Flowers. Messages. "I miss you." Never real transparency. Never cutting ties with him. Never truly owning what she had done. Once, I even called Ryan from an unrecognized number. "You destroyed my marriage," I said. He let out an exasperated sigh. "Look, man, it wasn't serious." "She's the one who—" I hung up before he could finish. "Not serious." As if that made it better. As if reducing my wife to a casual fling lessened the damage. Months dragged on. The papers were signed. Friends picked sides. Her family pleaded with me to forgive, to remember the good years. But forgiveness isn't a switch you flip just because others are uncomfortable. 6 months later, I saw her in a coffee shop. She looked thinner, worn down, not broken, but dimmed somehow. "Daniel," she said softly, "I just wanted you to know. I ended things with him. It's over." I nodded. "Good for you." She searched my face, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Do you think we could ever?" "No," I replied gently. "Because that night when I caught you, I didn't just lose a wife. I lost the version of you who would never put me in that position." Her eyes filled again, but she didn't argue. She only nodded, whispered "I'm sorry," and walked away. It's been a year since. The pain doesn't stab the way it used to. It lingers like an old scar, quiet until the weather changes. I've started dating again, cautiously. I don't snoop through phones. I don't demand explanations for late nights. But I carry the memory like a warning sign. Trust, but never blindly. Sometimes I still replay that ballroom scene. The kiss. The music swelling like a cruel soundtrack. And I hear the words I said. "You just ended our marriage." And her reply, "You're wrong." She wasn't wrong because the marriage survived. She was wrong because she believed denial could undo betrayal. It can't. Once someone shows you what they're willing to do in the shadows, you can never see them the same way again.